How's it going, people? Welcome back to my channel. Has some big news today with the Premier League clubs meeting via Skype, via Zoom, via some sort of telephone video conferencing mechanism. And they met to discuss obviously the Premier League and the chance of it returning or how it will return. The Premier League got a document ready called Project Restart and presented it to all 20 Premier League clubs. All 20 had representatives on that call. And it's interesting because throughout Europe, the reaction to coronavirus in the football world and the current state of affairs has been very up and down. I mean, if you look at League One, the French league's cancelled, voided. PSG have been crowned champions. The standings are as they are. And that's that. Same in Holland. The Eredivisie cancelled. No more Dutch football until August. Yeah, August. Till potentially August. I mean, who knows what will happen by then? We'll see. But on the other hand, I mean, you look at the Bundesliga, who announced they are going to return. But obviously they're waiting on Angela Merkel. She's going to have release a statement tomorrow, I think, or maybe even today. And off the back of that, they'll see whether that is a legitimate way forward. Portuguese league, they're coming back on the 30th of May. Serie A, Italy, at the moment, the most affected country in Europe, but UK will soon overtake them. But Italy are optimistically aiming for the 18th of May. I haven't really kept up with their statistics over there and how, obviously I know they saw the peak of the virus. The curve is going down. But regarding the lockdown and how they've been coming out of it, or if they've even started coming out of it, I haven't really kept up with current affairs, because I find that when you pay too much attention to the news, it does cloud your mind a bit. The first couple of weeks of this coronavirus stuff, I was watching the news conference every day. I was bare interested in it, but the last month or so, 3-4 weeks, I feel like since I've stopped watching it, since I've just been doing my own thing, slowly coming back into groove on this YouTube with videos, I just feel like it hasn't been on my mind as much. I'm a guy that's comfortable in my own company as it is. So it's annoying to say the least. And the impact following will be damaging. But right now, I'm cool chilling. I'm actually cool. So let's get into Project Restart. Project Restart is a document that we presented to all 20 clubs on their latest conference call. It outlined how players can return to full training should the government agree, and included specific details of what will need to happen inside every training ground. And to be honest with you, them specific details, the more I go into this, let me start off by saying I want football to return. I miss football. It is a big part of my life. It's a big part of all of our lives. Obviously, most of my subscribers are football based, football related. You're here because I talk about Arsenal and football. So you don't know what I'm talking about. But at the same time, I'm a human. I'm a man. And when you look at it from this angle and you're reading the news coming out daily, it's looking less and less likely that the safety of players and coaches and managers and everyone cannot be guaranteed. So is it wise? Probably not, but we'll get into it anyway. Like I said, specific details of what will need to happen inside every training ground. Some of those plans include testing all players and officials 48 hours before returning to training, and apparently testing anytime they train, anytime they have matches, which is a bit mad to me. Yeah, I know it was just announced that the UK hit their target of 100,000 tests a day, and they hit that. Well, they want to sell it like they smashed it. But when you look at the statistics, they was on about 20-something thousand tests on Sunday. All of a sudden, it shot up to 50,000 on Tuesday, 50,000 on Monday, 80,000 on Tuesday. and all of a sudden 122,000 on the day it's meant to be done, on the day the government would have been held to account. They should be held to account anyway, but obviously they've sold it as a success story, when on the other hand, we're close to being the worst affected country in Europe, and I'd say the world, because when you look at the USA, you look at the numbers there, you look at the size of land, you look at everything. They are a far greater in numbers than the UK is. So they're bound to have the most numbers or more numbers than us and most countries in Europe. With the UK, we've handled it so poorly, yeah, that there is no success stories in this. There is none. God knows how I got into ripping the government, but it's going to happen a few times in this video, because essentially they could have done a lot better, and I don't feel like they're telling the whole truth, if I'm honest, but we will find out. I'm sure we will find out. Yeah, and regarding the test, like I said, how do they expect to start fulfilling that? Because off the top of my head, a 25-man squad, let's say 15 other staff needed per team, that's 40 staff per game, that's 80 because there's 2 teams, and the officials, let's say about 8 to 10, 90, then you probably got media and stuff like that, maybe another 25. Over 100 people per game getting tested per game. I mean, there's 92 Premier League fixtures remaining. 92 times that number of people getting tested, when tests are just really coming into fruition, if you believe the latest figures. Doesn't sound wise. Doesn't sound wise at all. So yeah, following the meeting, obviously the Premier League have released a statement. Some of the key bits I've picked out, 3 little quotes. First one being, furthermore, the Premier League's priority is the health and safety of players, coaches, managers, club staff, supporters, and the wider community. I'll take a pause there, because if it was the main priority, then the Premier League would actually cancel, I'll be honest. Safety cannot be guaranteed. We all know money is money is behind this, behind wanting to finish the season, behind wanting to continue under these circumstances. So to tell us, you know, it's the general gibberish, you know, that these major organizations and government and police and all these main bodies project to us regular folk, you know, like every coronavirus daily news conference I see or I've saw starts with the same bullshit about, we're working hard to do this, we're working hard to do that, not being held to account, avoiding the hard questions. And with the Premier League, that just sounds like a typical generic PR line. The main priority is health and safety. Yeah, right. If it was, we'd be cancelled and would be thinking about an August or September start, depending on how lockdown resumes, or we come out of lockdown, sorry. Another quote, the Premier League will only return to training and playing with government guidance under expert medical advice. This government guidance they talk about, the government that originally told us washing our hands for 20 seconds was all we need to do. The government that told us herd immunity, we want the majority of the UK to get this so-called disease. The same government that switched within weeks to realize mistakes that they've made. The same government that promised 250,000 tests by the end of March, then at the beginning of April promised 100,000 tests by the end of April. I don't know if the government guidance is the best thing to follow, but the same generic stuff, and under expert medical advice, the same medical advice that tells us wash your hands for 20 seconds is all you need. Masks help, masks don't help, masks help. Oh, no, masks don't help. This is what comes out of the government. Bullshit. You know, like, come on. Honestly. There needs to be a consistent... Obviously, there's the WHO, World Health Organization. People have their own opinions on that. But there needs to be some sort of consistent medical body across nations that come together at times like this. It can't be UK experts handling it here, French experts handling it there, US experts handling it there. Like, come together, listen to each other, learn. Because the UK have a lot of learning to do from this whole episode. I'll be honest. And finally, no decisions were taken at today's shareholder meeting. The clubs reconfirmed their commitment to finishing the 2019-2020 season, maintaining the integrity of the competition. Debatable, maintaining their integrity. I'll get into that a bit more in a bit. But in all honesty, they're just holding on. That's what it seems like they're doing. They're holding on and hoping for the best. They don't want to bite the bullet and then regret it. And they really want to push to finish it off. But 92 Premier League fixtures doesn't sound like it's going to happen. I mean, the English Football League have come out and said they'd rather not play. I think they've agreed that. National League definitely have come out and said, nah, would rather void the season. Like I said, in Europe, various leagues cancelling, voiding the season, various leagues restarting literally in a couple of weeks in Italy. But we'll see. We'll see how that all goes, isn't it? Maybe the Premier League is also waiting to see how it goes in other countries. But if the news in South Korea and Germany and other countries that have come over their peak is to be believed, and there is another peak coming, then and the infection rate is rising and all of this stuff, then these are countries that handle the situation well in the first place, you know? So let's see how the UK handle whatever happens in the next few weeks and upcoming months, because it's still going to be a rocky ride ahead. It's going to be very interesting to see, because in my opinion, they've lost a lot of the country's faith. But at the same time, they've got a lot of stupid people behind them too, but it is what it is. That's politics, isn't it? I've also... look, Gary Neville today, I did look at other quotes, other people talking about it within the football community, but I did pick out Gary Neville today, who does... At first, I laughed at the suggestion, but when I thought about it again, it kind of... If safety is paramount, like the Premier League statement says, then this is potentially an option. So Gary Neville says, if the Premier League are really serious about delivering the matches that remain in a safe environment, they would move it to two or three spots that are within 3-4 hours of the UK. Sorry about that. In this country, I'm not sure they can deliver it with the amount of coronavirus which is around, especially with the amount of movement of it out there and the logistic issues. And in my opinion, it's true, because think about this, yeah? The main thing I think about when coming back out of football, even whether it's at a neutral venue, I can't lie to you, the day Liverpool are going to go win that league at the neutral venue, there's going to be enough Liverpool supporters going there to not watch the game, but be outside the stadium. If not that, there's going to be enough Liverpool supporters on the streets, you know? And I'm not saying that as the main reason. I'm just giving that as an example of what could potentially happen. Liverpool not being the only one, but I can just imagine with only 2 games left to win the league, how the City would erupt after waiting so long for the Premier League to return to them. So that's just one of the problems that bringing the Premier League back poses, I think. But Gary Neville's right. In this country, it's a bit mad to be starting sports again, especially with all the advice going around about social distancing and maintaining it and being easy with coming out of lockdown and all this stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But also from Matt Lawton from The Times, and I agree with him here. This is why I picked out this quote or this excerpt from his opinion. He says, I think the 14 clubs, the majority vote principle, would become irrelevant in this situation. If one club decides they don't want to play, I think it will be incredibly hard to argue against it. If a club doesn't want to play, they have a very strong argument, especially if they play on neutral grounds. And 1 or 2 points, that safety cannot be guaranteed and the integrity of the competition is actually compromised going in such a manner, which is completely the opposite of what the Premier League statement says. And in my opinion, I agree with Matt Lawton. I think if one team does speak out against it, it causes a real problem. I think if players, maybe even one big player, one of the Premier League stars speak out. To be honest, Aguero has. I do remember reading an article earlier today about Aguero saying like footballers are scared to return to football. And I don't know if scared is the right thing. You know, but Okay, I understand. I can only talk from my perspective, like, and I wouldn't be scared. But if that's what he's saying, that's what he's saying. I understand it, because at the same time, we all know, like I said, that money is really behind this move to not void the season and just done and dusted and leave it till August. So the players must be feeling a way about that at the end of the day. But if players do eventually come out and speak out about it and say they don't feel safe and they unanimously agree, then they will have to take this supposed pay cut, because at the end of the day, it is for their safety. But at the same time, they won't be working. And when you relate that to everyday life, there's people out there, like I mentioned in the Ozil pay cut video, that have had to take pay cuts by force, have had to lose their job by force, you know? So it's like, if Premier League doesn't continue, if football doesn't continue and there's no foreseeable future for it, then players really have to take that pay cut. Same way owners have to put in more. That's enough. Listen, that's the Ozil video. So go back and watch that if you want to hear me talk about finances of Arsenal and whatnot. This is more about the Premier League. Probably my first video on my channel where I'm not really talking about Arsenal as much, or at all, to be honest, so far this video. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Let me know your comments below. I think that's about everything I wanted to wrap it up with. Yeah, everything I wanted to wrap it up with. So yeah, people, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you want to see the Premier League return? Of course, easy question for us all. But should the Premier League be seeking a return this season, or should it be cancelled? If it's cancelled, should we go the route of France and just keep the standings as they are? Or how do we really go about it? Because Liverpool do deserve the league, that's fair enough. But the battle for top four, the battle for relegation, you can't just done and dust it there, in my opinion. There has to be something worked out a bit better than relegation and top four stays as it is. Liverpool win the league, they're by far the best team in the country this year. That is fine, but there's nothing else that's sorted. So we'll see what happens, innit? Just let me know in the comments what you guys think. I'll try and respond and like as many as possible. And aside from that, yeah, keep subscribing, liking, sharing. Add me on Instagram, Turkish LDN. Add me on Twitter, Turkish LDN. Keep on letting me know what you lot want to see from the channel, what other topics you want me to discuss. Because I am seeing all of them, I am noting all of them down. I'm thinking about different ideas of what I can do. Partly because, listen, I'm not one of those guys that will say I'm bringing out a new show, and then that new show I bring out, I've got the same background here, it's the same me talking to the camera. That's not really a new show. That's just a new topic on the same sort of, I don't even call this a show. So when you lot bring out new different topics like COVID-19 or the government or my opinions on this, that and the other, I want to make something of that that's a separate entity. Do you know what I mean? That is a show. Same way I'm bringing Top 6 show back. I was in the process of it, but it will be coming back when we can get out of lockdown. You know, so we will see. Maybe I can do it on StreamYard, like all these other people are doing, you know, the StreamYard thing. Maybe I can do Top 6 show on there. We'll see. We'll see if I can get that done. Let me know in the comments if you want to see it, if you waited this long in the video. But until the next video, people, I'm out. Love.